everybody, this is the current state of the VRod. I've actually started putting back the fuel rail intake air chambers into the cylinder heads. I've connected the mass airflow sensor down in there, and I got the injectors in place. The big thing to remember with these injectors is that it's easier to just take these off. It's literally 3 Allen keys. Yeah, there's one right there for the mount, there's one right there, and there's one right there. This one wouldn't be here because the fuel rail wouldn't already be in here, but when you take these off, you're able to pivot this thing out of the way, or just take it completely out, and you're able to sit these injectors under here directly in the bore ports. So it's really easy if you just go ahead and just take them off. It takes a lot less time versus you trying to finagle it and possibly bend something. And then once you actually seat it down, then you can come back and put this on here, put those 2 in there, and then put the mount ones in here, because right now they're super loose. There's not as much oil down in there. I also took the battery out because I wanted to clean on top of this head as much as I could, get down in there and clean up. And all the oil that was on these walls right here is gone. But it's not perfect, but it's definitely a lot better than what it was. And again, the whole point was to just clean up the oil. I don't want to replace the seals that caused the oil to leak and then have all that oil still down in there, because again, oil degrades components. So I actually cleaned, by hand, the electrical connectors also, because I didn't want oil to be in those. And still, oil is actually in some of them still. This connector is an example. You can still see that oil that's kind of caked on there. And like I said, before I started, it was a lot worse, but I've cleaned quite a bit of it off, and also tried to get in those contact pins to get some of that oil out. But like I said, this stuff oil degrades over time, so this would have gotten worse. So you guys can see down in there, it's not perfect, but it's definitely a lot better than what it was. And I'm pretty pleased with how it all came out. So I'm gonna put some of this back together before I go to work, and hopefully by this afternoon I'll have it back completely. So the big thing right now is making sure that these are fully seated. I'm gonna tighten these boots down first. And I think the torque specs is in very minimal inch pounds. I actually dropped a screw down in there. Having one of these makes all the difference. I dropped it when I was trying to put that on there. Definitely get one of these if you don't have one. You can get them from Harbor Freight for a few bucks. So we got the fuel lines right here. Green goes on the right, pretty sure, because that line runs further to the right. I don't remember. And this is the return line. So fuel comes out, and fuel gets returned back to the pump with the blue line. I didn't actually clean these. I probably should have. You can see the little debris on this. So I'm actually gonna clean that up just a tad with some brake cleaner. All right, you got this blue one. I'm gonna do the green one first. It's got this weird hook to it. Push it all the way on. Push that tab. That is on, and this one's the same thing. Push it all the way on. That's it. All right, that's fuel rail. You can still see bits of oil on it. Battery. This thing's a brick. This battery's heavy, man. Slots in like that, and this is the cable for the battery tender. So you're gonna put that back on the positive. You're gonna put that back on the negative. Then of course you're gonna put your main harness, and just gonna power it up. I'm gonna put the bike back on charge. Interesting enough, I can see that this battery is from 12/19/17. So this battery's only a few years old. So that's good to know. Just screw it back down. It's that easy. All right, that's a little tricky, but there's a hook under there that when you feed this through right here, and you're able to kind of guide it on that hook. So it's not, took me like 15 seconds. And you're gonna take this in, you're gonna hook it right there on that part of the battery. That's gonna be the hook. It basically makes it from where this battery isn't unnecessarily shaking in the chassis. Get on there. Yep, and it's done. There's no main fuse in here, so I don't have to worry about, the bike starting up or anything. So if I flip the key, there's still no power. Until I finish this, I can at least plug VRod back up and get this battery on charge. It hasn't been on charge for a few days, and it's freaking cold. Oh, well, the battery is charged apparently, so. Okay. So at this point, the battery's snug and fit. We can verify that it is on charge with the battery tender. The fuel lines are back where they need to be. The next step is gonna be to put this horn on. I don't have time because I ran out, because I gotta go to work. And when I come home, I'll put throttle bodies on, and we're gonna be good to go. This is what happens when you work on your bike right before work. You get into the zone and then you realize that you have to stop because now you have to go to your day job. So yeah, I'm gonna put the horn on when I get back, and hopefully I'm gonna have this thing buttoned up tonight. Of course, I'm gonna put my tools back on the wall. And one more thing for the fuel system I'm gonna have to do when I get back, I guess, is plug the electrical connection back up. So when you turn the fuel pump on or try to start the bike, electricity will actually go to the fuel pump. Because right now, if you try, nothing's gonna happen. So yeah, that's one more thing to do. All right, it's a lot later in the day, so we're gonna get some more VRod work done. Productive day at work. Now I gotta do more work. I don't remember that being that hard to get out, but there it is. All right, so now when we start the bike, fuel is gonna go up this line and it's gonna do stuff. So I'm gonna put the horn back on, so let's do that. I really need to get a workbench, but this will do for now. And also I did clean the horn. It had oil residue behind it, and it's all like clean stuff again. Now the way that the horn works, you got 2 contact pins right there, and then you got the mount bolt right here at the top. So nothing super crazy. Here are those contact pins that I was referring to. Next up is probably the most annoying part, and that's this throttle body. First I gotta get all this tape off, so the whole point of having tape here so I didn't drop any debris in these holes. So I'm gonna take these off, and we're gonna be good to put these back on. Thanks, Harley. You didn't tell me I was gonna have to deal with duct tape residue on these boots. I should have took these off the bike probably, but I think it'll be okay. I'm actually surprised at how well this has come out. All right, so the way that this is gonna sit down on here is gonna go like that. I'm gonna flip this first. I'm gonna connect these cables. The yellow one goes to the right, and the left one, this one that doesn't have the color on it, goes to the left. I'm gonna sit it on there, and I'm gonna put the throttle position sensor back on there. And I think this is the, I forget the IAPs. I forget, it's another sensor. I haven't shown you guys this, but these are the parts that I'm replacing. This is the breather tube on the airbox cover. It's the bottom one. It's the one in there. And I also got another gasket that goes on top of the throttle body. And I got the breather tube O-ring. Where you at, man? Ah, here we go. Yep, this little guy. This is gonna get replaced with that new O-ring. And last but not least, I didn't probably need these, but these are velocity stack O-rings that essentially keep the O-rings that keep rings that keep these screws from coming up. They're oily, but I originally thought that that's why they were oily, but no, they're not. And of course, there's various other seals that I could have replaced, but these are the ones that I just decided to replace because these are the main culprits of this original oil leak. So yeah. Come on, yellow. I got this throttle cable. And there's that one. These gloves are kind of getting in the way, but it's keeping my hands from getting gross. I gotta touch my lady. Let's see. Not that she cares, but it's just, I don't have to. I don't want to do it if I don't have to. Nasty hands. Get in there. This is freaking annoying, guys. After about 15 minutes of finagling, I finally got this thing in. It would have been a lot easier if I had slack in this cable, but mine are pretty due for replacing because these nuts are like shut pretty much. And there's play right here, but butterflies are opening at 100%. So, and the idle control, yeah. So there's some play in there, not a lot though. One's a 3-prong, and one is a 4-prong. You can't mess this up. One goes into the throttle position sensor, and one is the idle air control sensor. So plug these in. Before I go any further, I do want to make sure that this fuel system is good. Remember, I plugged this connection up, and I made sure that these lines were secure. Before I mount this throttle body, I want to make sure that the bike doesn't leak anything when I start out. This fuse, this is like a ginormous fuse. Fuse is back in. Flip the switch. Bike does come on. I think we might be good. I don't see any leaky leaks. I'll tell you this, these throttle bodies go on a lot easier than they come off. So the next job is going to be to go in and tighten up those clamps right in there that'll go around the hose boots. There's another angle right there. And then these are going to be secured, and we can start back putting the airbox back on. A big long screw makes this so much easier. We're good to go. Yeah, so I almost forgot to put this breather tube back in its rightful place because I was almost done, but I'm gonna put this in here now. Yeah, I put the new gasket on that breather tube, by the way, because this is the old one and the new one's on now. So I can move on to putting the airbox on with the new gasket for the throttle body, and also the new hose that goes into the airbox. Oh wow, it's very tight in there, but you guys, there we go. I didn't think that thing was gonna go in there. That's what she said. But now it is on there, and I can put the gasket on the bottom for the throttle body. This goes on the breather tube. We're good to go. All right, the gasket that goes on the bottom is pretty simple. You got 3 tiny holes that you line that up with on the airbox. Fits right on there, and there's the new tube that was leaking oil. The big thing is making sure that that breather tube sits right on top of that perfectly. And it's gonna make sure that nothing leaks. I can put this back where it was. All right, I put that breather hose back on, and now I'm gonna plug this leaking son of a gun back up. It goes in these little grommets right here. There we go. All right, so short velocity stack in the rear, taller one in the front. We got the new new rings on here to hold these screws down. So I press those down below the little neck tabs. It helps when putting stuff back on. It raises them above the screws because it just gets in the way. Airbox 6. I do not know the orientation of this. I'm sure this thing has a torque spec, but guess what? It ain't getting torqued down today. Get your ass out of the way. Alright, set that on there. Fuse in. Whoa. I didn't like that. Sound like it's trying to run. Okay. Power's off. The ignition is off. Why does it want to run? Well, I don't like that. Hold up. Alright, Spike just did some really weird stuff. So I don't know if it's like a reset, but when I put the fuse in, the fan started kicking on. The kill switch wasn't on. That was weird, but I can still see that the light is illuminated. So let's see what happens if I start it. God, I'm worried that it's not gonna start now, because it should start. It's priming. It could be a result of connecting some of these air sensors, but ooh, that was weird. Last freaking screw. It is finally back together. Let's start this thing up, man. Oh. Alright, let's start this thing up, man. right, that is enough. It works. And there we go. The VRod is back together. It runs. There's no oil leaks. Hopefully that oil leak does not come back for a long time, but it runs just fine and there's no problem. So hopefully I will not be working on this bike anytime soon, but if I had to, yeah, I know exactly what I need to do. But that throttle body took me a little bit longer than I wanted to. It's a lesson learned. I don't have to deal with the throttle bodies anymore. But yeah, man, this bike is good to go to get back on the street, and I can focus on other projects and making other videos. But if you have not seen the carnage, the oil leak, and everything associated with this entire, I guess, project, you can click right here on the screen and it will take you straight to the beginning of this series. Yeah, but as always, thanks for listening to my story and watching my story. And as always, if you're subscribed, I'll see you in the very next one. Peace.